This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you this week?
Tom, it's not how am I, it's where am I?
Yeah, you're not in the same physical location as me. We were right before we started recording talking about how it's like a throwback to the heydays of 2020 recording.
Ah, the fondest memories we all have.
Yeah, that was the best time doing the podcast.
It was the best time in life, I think.
Yeah, I was having a ball.
Tom, despite all the... let's forget about all the bad things, the tragedies.
Yes.
The terror and the unnecessary death. Do you look back fondly at all on the spring of 2020 otherwise?
No, I don't think so. Why? Should I?
I don't know. Part of me was like...
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, I gave you that nice gift, like you were fishing for a compliment or something.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, like, oh, you don't remember the gold watch?
Like, surely there had to have been one day in the spring of 2020 that was especially nice.
How would you respond if I, for a holiday or something, or, like, your birthday, if I got you, like, a really nice gold watch? Would you think that was really weird?
Yeah.
Or would you be like, this is nice, and I'll cherish it and I'll wear it. It's a gift from a dear friend.
Well, I would assume it was like stolen or fake.
That it was hot.
Yeah. Because why else? Like, would you be? How else would you? I mean, I guess you could have gotten it by buying it, but then I wouldn't understand why you bought it. I can't, basically what I'm trying to say is I can't see you giving me a nice gift unless it was stolen or fake.
Yeah, but like, what if you found out it was real and that I bought it? I showed you the security footage from the...
Well, I don't know if I'd need to see the security footage. I think that would invite more questions. If I accuse you of, like, what is this, fake or stolen? What? How dare you? I'll show you the security footage of me buying it right now.
No, I wouldn't get offended. Here's what you'd open the box. It would be like
no.
One
What
of those
I'm
flip
saying
boxes,
is,
right?
if you had that security footage, I would be very. I
know.
Even more confused.
Here's what I would do. I'd be like, Happy Thanksgiving, Tom.
That would be a Thanksgiving present.
And then I'd open the box up, and then I'd close it on like do the Pretty Woman thing,
right? And I'd laugh, of course.
You'd
like,
laugh,
Julia
you'd
Roberts.
giggle, you'd be like, "What a charmer!
Yeah.
What a goddamn charmer this guy is!"
Oh,
exactly. And then you'd open it up, and in there you'd see this nice watch, and it's not like I'm not paying like $95,000, but this might be a $5,000 watch.
Okay.
And also in there, you see a nicely folded, like really folded nicely, like really small.
Like origami or something?
No. Just really small, but like neatly done. The receipt.
Uh-huh.
And I've taken a black Sharpie to the price.
Right.
I'm not doing this to brag about the price. I'm just showing you. Yes, those are the last 4 digits of my American Express card on the receipt. As you can see, this was bought, a month ago.
Yeah, at the Rolex store.
And then also, yeah, exactly. And then also a small USB drive.
with the security footage on it?
And if you were like, what is this, stolen or fake? I'd be like, well, you have the receipt right there. It's not fake. And, USB drive, should you need it, I'm not going to force you to watch it. But to answer your question, no, it's not stolen. It's not fake.
I'd have to go
and it's there for you.
Go find an adapter to plug it in. And what file type is this? It won't open. It won't open in QuickTime. I got to open it in VLC. Hold on a minute. Just wait before I thank you for buying
FLV file or something.
Yeah, those don't. Tim, You fool. You absolute fool.
What is that?
That's Flash video. That's been gone for a long time.
Yeah, but I don't know. The watch store isn't like, oh, we have cutting edge technology. I bet their security system.
Tim,
Yeah, okay.
Tell
All
me.
right. Forget it.
The watch store is not using Flash video for their security system.
Maybe I've converted it, Tom.
See, well now, man. See again. Now even more questions are coming up. Why are these FLV files? These don't even work with anything anymore.
Well, you open it in VLC.
It would seem to me,
regardless.
Then that would strike me as like, oh, this guy, he's giving me a file format that's hard to read purposefully, so that so I can't see this. Like when I used to just like take a file, like a random file from my computer and rename it like into a Word file and send that to a professor, and then they would open it and be like, oh, it was all gibberish. And I was like, oh, probably because I have one of those damn Macs. And they're like, oh, yeah, they're not compatible. And I'd be like, oh, well, I know the paper was due a week ago, but you just noticed now, and I'll get you that paper immediately.
Tom, you should really just like, why didn't you just write your papers on time? That is so much more trouble.
But that's the thing, Tim. Nobody doubted it because it was so much trouble.
Right. But you know, it's also so much trouble just writing the.
Sometimes I didn't have time for that, but I had time for this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It wasn't an all the time thing.
Sometimes.
I think I did it once or twice in like desperation. You're forgetting about like in college. Remember you'd be like, this paper's gonna be easy. I'll write it the night before it's due, and then you like go to start it, and you're like, oh shit, I'm not gonna be able to write this in one night.
Yeah, sometimes that would happen, and other times I'd be like, I'll start this, a week in advance. Mm-hmm. And then I'd start writing it, and then I'd be like, ooh, this is hard. I don't want to do this right now.
Yeah.
And then it would just never come up again until like it was the night before. And it's like, I'll come back to this probably in a day.
Yeah.
I'll probably come back to this in a couple hours and bang it out, and I'll have the stomach, the wherewithal.
Yeah, I definitely won't just forget about it and constantly avoid it.
I wouldn't forget about it. It would always be consistently on my. This is the other thing. It's like I'd lose sleep over it, right? Like it would ruin my life until I did it, but it would never ruin my life enough to be like, well, then why don't I just do it?
Right.
Dude, pictures of success, the two of us. Real good habits. Real
self-starters. Were those all your questions about what would happen if you gave me a nice watch? Yeah, and I think
you answered my questions, or you really illuminated like why I wouldn't buy you a nice watch.
What do you mean? Because I wouldn't trust that it was real?
Yeah, the first thing you'd be like, you stole.
What if I gave you a really nice watch? What would you think?
I'd say thanks for the memories, Tom. And thanks for the watch.
What if it was the watch you had just given me like a week later?
I mean, I would probably just go return it. Ah, damn it! But I'd already taken a Sharpie to the receipt. They'll never accept that.
No, they'll be like, well, you could have paid any price.
Yeah, and we don't keep records here. We don't know what you paid for it.
Yeah, look, all we do is sell multi-$1,000 watches. We don't keep track of what comes in and goes out.
We're not experts in paperwork. We deal in precision timepieces
and craftsmanship.
Tom, how you doing this week?
I'm doing good, Tim.
Oh wait, hold on. Just to circle back, I don't look back on that time fondly either.
What time?
The pandemic.
Oh yeah. I forgot what the hell we were even talking about.
It was nice that like everybody was like being quiet, except when they were banging those pots and pans.
Right. Yeah. Banging the pots and pans every day.
Yeah.
Luckily, people
But it was
got,
for a good cause.
Luckily, people got tired of doing that, and then they decided doctors are the bad guys. But yeah, I today I went to the grocery store and I saw like a few people wearing masks because it's like ticking back up again. I was like, hey.
Yeah,
I don't
that's why I'm in the
wanna,
suburbs, baby.
do any of that stuff. It stinks.
Ignore it and it goes away. I think we've proven that that's the best way to deal with problems.
We both graduated college.
Yeah.
I mean, neither of us got jobs in the fields that we studied, but still.
Yeah. And I didn't get to sit with all my friends who were like graduating with honors at graduation. And they got like special little
yeah,
what
like
are those things
necklaces
on their
and
yeah. And I was
special
like,
hat
I'll
things.
just sit over here with the the losers.
Yeah. We like to
That's
give
all
extra trinkets to the real brainiacs.
Hey, I was jealous. Were you jealous? One of those. They had like
no,
a different color thing on their hat, their mortar board.
Yeah. I thought they
A
looked
little
like
sash
dorks.
They were cool. Turns out we were the dorks, Tom.
No way. We weren't doing our work. How were we dorks?
Yeah, it was cool. I was too busy skateboarding.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the 2020 stuff because this was something that you couldn't do in 2020, which is our topic tonight.
Ooh.
Go Airbnb.
Yes.
And you couldn't
And
do...
if you're not listening to this at night,
Mhm.
pause it and come back to it
Right.
at night. This is a
Yeah,
real
it's
nighttime
better
episode.
at night. Airbnb like shut down for a minute, right? Because everybody was like, like in the very beginning, because it was like, we don't know what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
We don't know.
I mean,
we don't know how this is spreading, so
Yeah.
let's stop everybody
travel
from mingling.
wasn't first and foremost on people's minds. Although the kind of more rural Airbnbs did see a tick up during that time.
Yes.
Once people are like, I'm getting out of the city.
What's your overall vibe on Airbnb?
As a company?
Yes, as a company, as an idea, as a service.
Okay. It's complex.
Yes.
This is how I feel in general. Airbnb, very bad.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm planning a fun weekend with my friends at a cool house.
Yeah.
Then that's the only thing. The only way that Airbnb, the only scenarios in which it should be illegal is when me and people I know want to take advantage of it for our own fun purposes.
Tim, you would
Yes?
fit right in being like a really, really rich guy with that attitude.
Oh, Tom, that's funny you should mention that. That's what I aspire to be.
Yeah. Just a guy who's rich enough that could go, you know what? I don't want everybody doing this, but I want to be able to do it.
Yeah. But isn't that how you feel about not just Airbnb, but a lot of things?
Yeah.
Murder?
Well, yeah, murder, sure. If nobody was allowed to murder anymore, just me. And look, I'm not going to be out there doing murders willy-nilly. I think a lot
I'm only going to do it when it's important.
Yeah, well, I'm going to know.
Or fun.
I'm going to know that if I do it, all eyes are going to be on me. It's going to be on the news. The only man allowed to murder exercised that right today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people wouldn't be happy about it, but, like, what are you going to do? Tough shit, guys.
But what if it were, like, a real bad guy?
Yeah, that would be your
what if it
argument.
was-
You'd go on the news and be like, hey, I don't have to do this. I don't have to justify myself here, but it was a really bad guy.
Yeah, but it was Saddam Hussein.
This guy was such a wackadoo, I called him so damn insane.
Wow.
Then I murdered him legally.
The law doesn't allow me to use any kind of instrument, so I had to strangle him with my bare hands, and he didn't go easily.
I don't think I'd be able to do that, Tom.
No? Wow.
No.
I
To
guess,
anyone, even the worst guy.
I guess you don't love America, Tim.
Yeah, it's our number one foe who perished 20 years ago. I will not strangle him to death with my bare hands.
One day the law's going to catch up with that Saddam Hussein, and I really pity him.
Tom,
Mm-hmm.
you should really crack open a newspaper once in a while.
Nah. But anyway.
Yeah, newsprint gets on all over your fingers.
Yeah. I like to save it for my Silly Putty. What a scam that was! You can copy a comic book from the newspaper with Silly Putty. All right, and then what?
Yeah. First of all, it'll be backwards.
Yeah. Well, am I just gonna
look at it in a mirror?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep this forever and look at it in a mirror. Just this like one panel of comic from the news strip. What use is that? I've already got the newspaper. I can just hang on to that.
It's right there. And like it doesn't like wipe off or anything. You have to just like roll it into the other, like roll it on top of itself, and then the Silly Putty becomes more and more gray.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Useless product. You know, they're like, Silly Putty was an accidental invention. Oh, no, you don't say. They weren't trying to invent that. They didn't sit around being like, how can we make this thing that, like, doesn't really do anything, but it kind of, like, if you put it down on a newspaper, it'll show up on it. Get our finest minds working round the clock to get that.
It stretches, but it also bounces. That was the... But, like, not really. It, like, bounces the way, like, anything bounces if you drop it.
Yeah, I was never impressed with the bounceability of Silly
It was like,
Putty.
it's bouncy what? Compared to slime? Okay.
Yeah. Anything's bouncy compared to slime.
I mean, I just think about because those were like the two choices. Those were the two.
Yeah.
They were the Sega and Nintendo of their day. Silly Putty and slime.
Yeah. I think I might be Team Slime or Team Gak.
Yeah,
right?
Gak was expensive though. Slime was cheap.
Yeah. Slime was cheap. Those were the days. I don't know how cheap slime is these days.
Back when slime was cheap.
Kids today might not be able to relate to this.
Well, they had all the quarter machines. You could just put a quarter in, you got slime.
That's cool. You ever pretend that you sneeze, then you...
Oh, of course.
You kind of throw the slime out?
Yeah, you get some nice green slime. Yeah, you got to. But yeah, that was...
Yeah.
Slime was worth a quarter, no more. You know, you felt like you got your money's worth. You played with the slime until, like, you dropped it, and then it just got completely disgusting, and you had to throw it out.
I'm sure I, like, at some point, like... You know, you get this in a vending machine at the supermarket. I'm sure I was in like a public bathroom, dropped the slime on the floor, and kept playing with it at some point.
Yeah.
Right? That's what happens when you're 8. That shit's just like what happens on a Tuesday.
Yeah, they sell. I don't know if you've seen this. They sell slime now as like a way to clean your car. That like you use it on.
Car slime.
Yeah, it is. Like you use it on the inside of your car to like dust and crumbs and stuff out of like all the little crevices in like a dashboard.
Yeah, I mean slime can get in the crevices.
Yeah, and it's sticky. It pulls that stuff right out. Yeah. I haven't tried this, but it's been advertised to me, and you know it makes sense. I could see how it would
car
work.
Slime?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna get my parents some car slime for Christmas because they always hated when I would get the slime out of the vending machines and be like, "Oh, that's gross. You shouldn't have that. I don't want you playing with that." Uh-huh. And then they're gonna be like, "Wow, it really cleaned my car," and I'll be like, Well. Look who's changed their tune on slime. It'll be vindication. Finally.
Yeah, they'll have to give you a formal apology after that. Tim, we were wrong. We should have bought you even more slime. We had no idea it was so useful for cleaning cars.
Well, there's a way you can make it back to me right now. Probably lots of slime and a fancy gold watch.
Yeah, so that it's out there, just so you know, car slime. But we're not talking about car slime. We're talking about Airbnb.
Yeah, look up car slime on your own time. We're talking about Airbnb.
I get what you're
bed and breakfast.
I get what you're saying about it being bad but good. I mean, that's like pretty much everything now. Like anything convenient.
Yeah. I think the problem with it is everything good is also really bad.
Yeah.
Because it's run by people who make things bad.
Yeah, I was going to say that, like...
And they're enabled by a lack of regulation or a rolling back of regulations by people who are equally bad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, anything can be... This is a great idea. We've had people renting their homes out to other people. Yeah. For short-term rentals, like, for, like, vacations, for forever. Yeah. Right? But then you get some San Francisco jagovs in here, right? Like, and be like, hey, how can we, like, make this into, like, something where, like, we're talking about, like, billions of dollars and stuff, and, like, we get a lot of that.
Well, and the entire business model of we're going to use a bunch of money from, like, venture capitalists and banks and stuff to try and become a monopoly as quickly as possible. So then once that happens, we can start raising fees and it won't matter because there won't be any competition anymore.
Which is a solid business plan.
Right. But I mean...
Or maybe. I don't know. But then they always have to keep, like, growing and growing. And
well, yeah, that's the problem. Like, it works. Like, it's a way to have, like, tremendous early growth. But I feel like, you know, we're seeing now as things like Netflix keep getting more expensive that at some point these companies need to try and make their money back. And then when they do, everybody's like, oh, wait a minute. This isn't what I initially signed up for. This isn't what I initially agreed to.
Yeah. And it's like, we were fine with you tearing apart, like, the fabric of society if it meant that, like, we'd all get this for, like, really, really cheap.
Yeah.
But, like, now we have to pay a lot for it, and you've ruined everything else about society. Like, I mean, Netflix didn't ruin society,
right.
But, like, it, like, ruined the entertainment industry, right? Or,
yeah.
like, entertainment is produced and distributed, and now it's like, oh, yeah, that was cool. You thought it was like $7.99 a month.
Right.
But now it's like double that, and I can't share my password with people.
Right.
Whoa. Let's go back to cable TV, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, and you started just like making bad shows and like canceling everything if it's not an immediate hit. But I mean, as far as Airbnb, like I'm thinking like a similar thing is, you know, Uber and Lyft, like companies that came in like to the taxi industry and the hotel industry to disrupt it, which, you know, like there were tons of things about both those industries that sucked. But to have like one or two companies come in and be like, well, we're going to disrupt like thousands of small businesses to just try and make our business.
Yeah. Yeah, there's things about those businesses that sucked, but it was like, are two bros who don't want to like pay people to do work gonna like fix that?
Well, yeah, and especially when like I feel like for both these things, the at least early business model was basically we're gonna go into this industry, but we're gonna claim we're not part of that industry, so then we can save a bunch of money by skirting regulations.
Right.
You know,
and it works.
If you build a hotel, it has to be up to a whole bunch of code so that, you know, people don't die in a fire in here.
Right.
But if you know, we say, oh, we're not a hotel, we're something else, then yeah, we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't want to die in a hotel. If the fire or not, but like or otherwise.
Yeah.
It just feels like if you're like, that guy, he died in a hotel, you always think
that guy, he died
something unseemly was going on.
Who are you talking to? Oh, that guy died in a hotel.
I don't know. Somebody's talking about you after you've died in a hotel. Did you hear about Tom? He died. Whoa, what happened? I don't know. He was found in his hotel room, and you'd be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I guess there's.
You know.
That's like, it was like he was doing something quote unquote bad there.
Yeah. And like your family can claim that like ninjas were after you and like but like everybody's gonna know that wasn't the case.
Are you talking about David Carradine? No, everybody knows ninjas were after him, and they made it look like he accidentally killed himself during autoerotic asphyxiation.
Yeah.
Tim, you have to understand how mad these ninjas were for him bringing their ways to the West.
I mean, it tracks.
Every day on when they were shooting Kung Fu, The Legend Continues, the weekly series, there were almost daily assassination attempts on David Carradine's life on that set.
Yeah, and they always tried to make it look like he was doing something unseemly.
Well, that's why, honestly, it didn't work so many times, because the tactics they were using, it was so convoluted just to make it look like it it wasn't a assassination. It was some kind of sex accident.
Airbnb is an American San Francisco-based company operating an online marketplace for short and long-term homestays and experiences. The company acts as a broker and charges a commission from each booking.
Yeah, I was looking into these commissions because it's interesting. They charge, they take a 3% fee from the renters or the rentees, the owners.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also charge guests an additional 14%.
Tom, you don't understand. They built a website.
No, I'm not even arguing about like the percentages. I'm just saying like it's sketchy that it's like, why do you just charge like a flat 17% fee?
To who though?
I mean, they're both paying it, you know?
Right.
If you charge it to the owners, then they're just going to raise the price. And if you charge it to the guests, then the owners are going to lower their price because they're not getting charged a fee.
I mean, the owners aren't going to lower their price.
But they might if they want renters.
Yeah, that's
it's competitive on there, Tim.
Yeah. It just seems to me like, do you understand? And maybe like they've raised what, like billions of dollars in funding.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do with that money?
They make a website, Tim. I mean, I'm sure a decent part of it goes into like insuring everything, because that is one of the things that they offer, as opposed to just putting a sign on your window, hey, come live here. That if somebody rents your place and trashes it or steals stuff, that I think it's up to $1 million they'll cover.
Right. Okay.
But
so a lot of that's going to insurance, and then another one is building a website. And look, websites. Mm-hmm. Look, you just go to tripod.com
and marketing,
and I guess like recruiting people, or like encouraging people to buy up houses where people would live, and instead just make them into short-term rentals, thus reducing housing stock and raising rents dramatically in most populated areas in the United States.
In like certain neighborhoods, there's just, it for the people living there, it gets to a point where it makes more sense for them to just go live somewhere else and rent out their apartment.
Yeah.
And make a lot of money.
Well, I don't think people should make money. And again, just other than me. Tom, Airbnb. We all know it. We all love it. What?
You just said you hate it.
I hate it as a concept, and I hate the execution of it.
Right.
But when I think of Airbnb, I think of the lovely experiences we've had right? Like we've like
Yes.
you and I and a bunch of our friends have gotten these houses through Airbnb. And look, if there wasn't a website where we could like easily book these houses,
Yeah.
what would we be doing? Like buying a newspaper and being like, all right, let me look up like let's buy a newspaper from upstate New York and see what rentals are available there.
Well,
And then, like, how do we tell each other about them? We got to put some silly putty down on it and then bring it over to somebody else's house.
yeah, look, you're going to have to come over to my house. I got 20 pieces of silly putty out on the dining room table and a big mirror. And we're going to look at all the listings. I'm sorry. It was just
Tom,
it was the easiest way I could think of.
Tom, let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Riddle me this.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1991.
Yeah.
You are our age,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to have, get a house for a week
Yeah.
with family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
People did that. How the hell did you do that?
Tim.
How did you know? Like, it's in a whole different city. You got no internet that you can log on to. You can't find anything. What do? You go to the library and ask the librarian, and then, like, they'll figure it out? How does this work?
I always think that, you always see like things online and stuff, or it'll be like a picture of like a cassette, and somebody will be like, "Oh, I showed my daughter this today, and she didn't even know what it was," or like a landline phone, or like a phone booth.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, yeah, I don't know what shit was from before I was born either. And I still don't. And I don't know a lot of shit from when I was born, especially how anyone did anything. Like we were both alive for a decent portion of our lives. I guess it was only really our childhoods, but where there really wasn't an internet. And you would think that we would be a little bit better at I'm young enough that I know how to do things on the internet, but old enough that I know how to do things without it. No, I don't know how to do fucking anything without the internet.
The iPhone came out when I was, what, like 25?
Yes. Yeah, probably about that.
And I functioned in the world for 25 years. I mean, part of it I was a baby and a small child, but like...
The other part, as you explained, you were at college not doing well.
Yeah, but like, if I
because you didn't have an iPhone yet. You didn't look up the answers.
If I leave my home now without my phone, I don't know how to do a goddamn thing. Like, I don't know how to get anywhere. I don't know how to like find anything, or like like I need this thing, and I've only had this for 15 years. Like, I don't know. I just don't know how people used to do. And I think it's a bad thing. I think we should get rid of the internet and phones and Airbnb, because like, I don't know, it's like people older than us, they weren't like that much smarter than us. Like they did stuff. It was probably a little harder, but like they also probably weren't like, wasting all their time dicking around on these things.
They weren't upset all the time.
Yeah, they weren't. They were too busy like trying to like book a freaking lake house for a weekend, which probably like was like, all right, let's hunker down for 25 total hours to figure it to book this lake house.
Yeah, I think it was just like a much bigger ordeal. And then I think people, if they found like a house that they liked, they would be like, okay, that's like where we go every fall now, or summer, or whatever.
And then they would like create a like relationship with the owner, and they'd be like, oh yeah, the owner calls us every year and sees if we want that stuff like that. And we don't have stuff like that. Yeah, and now it's just like, no, they're like, I don't know who owns it. Some website made by an evil billionaire facilitates everything for me.
Yeah, and it's so much easier. I think the hardest thing is, how would you compare places? Like, if it was 1991, I called up, I was like, hey, describe your house to me. I can't see a picture of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people were probably
then tell
better
me
at
how much
describing things back then.
Tell me how much it costs, and I'll try to guess if that's a good price or not.
Yeah,
and then
so like it worked.
Yeah, I guess.
What I'm saying is like that was a lot harder, but just because it's easier doesn't mean it's better. It's not like it's like, well, it's easier, and so now we've like solved society's problems with all of our extra time, and or like
no, but
I
think people do stuff more often. Like if
do
something
what?
like if something like this didn't exist, people like me and you and like our friends would not go rent a house. It would just be too much of a hassle, so nobody would do it.
This is very funny because in this specific case, when we're talking about me and you and our friends, literally every Airbnb we've ever gotten, my wife does all the research and does everything. I don't think I've ever used Airbnb. Like I don't think I've ever logged on and like booked something there.
There you're arguing that your wife should have to do more work, Tim.
Yeah, I think I am.
Well, I've
sad but true.
I've booked, I think all of me and your Airbnbs when we've done any live shows in other cities.
That's true.
And like that's for the most. I remember the one time we had a place where like as we were on our way there, the woman was like, "Oh, a water main broke."
Oh, I remember that.
So I'm gonna have to put you guys.
I was like, Tom, you're really bad at booking these things.
So I'm gonna have to like put you guys in a different place, and like it was definitely double booked or something, you know?
Yeah.
And like the place that she put us in was like way bigger. Remember that place? It looked like it
was a
house
rock and roll place, Tom.
Yeah, it looked like a real world house.
Yeah.
And it was
a spiral staircase going up to one of the beds.
Yeah. And
Remember
it was
that?
like, yeah, this is like it was pretty big and like had a lot of character. And I think we were just like, wow, all right, this is cool. And then like after we left, we realized like, well, what the hell are we going to do with this? We don't know anybody here. We're not going to like have a party here. And also this place is like a half hour further away from where we need to go every night.
We should have had a party, Tom.
Should have just
brought everybody back from the bar.
Yeah. Well, there they call them pubs.
Right. Yeah, I can't get used to that though.
But yeah, I feel like we've stayed in, especially in other countries, like a few weird Airbnbs. I think that is a result of like us not knowing what's normal in other places.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, I guess this is what a house is like. It doesn't have any windows, but when in Rome.
But in the UK, even in London, it's like I've never like. I remember one time you tried to wash and dry some laundry, do some laundry, and like,
yeah,
your takeaway from that is like, I guess they just wear damp clothes all the time.
I guess just nothing here is ever like actually dry.
Yeah, and that might be the case, and that's fine. I'm not judging, but I don't understand it.
They don't have their washers and dryers aren't as powerful over there.
Right.
I think they're like a lot more energy efficient.
Yeah, but what does that get you?
They don't.
What does that get you in this day and age?
Yeah, it gets you damp clothes is what it gets you.
Embarrassing is what it is. I've had a bad enough Airbnb experience. At one point, we got one in Nashville, my wife and I.
When you guys were trying to get that musical career going, the duo.
Yeah, some of our songs were catchy. They were about some dark subject matter, Tom, and people didn't like that down there.
No.
We went there, and like technically the pictures were right, but like I don't know.
But they were using like a fisheye lens or something.
Yeah, it was like gross and dirty, and like it didn't like it was like kind of like a basement that like was not clear that it was a basement. And this was good for us, but bad for bad for people who rent out Airbnbs. Like, I called up Airbnb and I was like, okay, this place is bad. We're gonna leave and we're not gonna pay. And they were like, sure thing, sir. And we've already credited you back, and they did. So like, no questions asked. Within like 5 minutes, they were like, fine, leave. We don't care. So I don't know. So I feel like that could also be abused.
I mean, probably a good number of like loopholes have been closed now, but I've read a million things about scams going both ways with Airbnb. You know, guest scamming and host scamming.
Right. Hosts, that was what I was trying to think of.
And, you know, like, in cases like that, taking advantage of policies and knowing they can get their money back and they'll just leave. But I guess if you guys were like leaving on the first day, it's kind of like, all right, well,
yeah,
like the host missed out on a booking, but it's not like you were like, haha, and we got to stay in a dirty house for an hour.
Yeah. We had to go. We were attending the wedding of one of my wife's former coworkers, who, like, I didn't know.
I thought you were gonna say former friends,
fake friends, Tom.
Yeah, that there was gonna be some juicy goss, but I guess not.
No, but we lost our Airbnb, or we canceled our Airbnb once we got there, and like we got there like a couple hours before the wedding, so we just got dressed for the wedding and drove to the wedding with no place to stay that night, Tom.
Wow.
And then what did I do? I got on hotelstonight.com.
Oh, yeah.
And from the wedding, it was good because, like, I didn't know anybody at the wedding and didn't want to, you know me, I don't socialize. So I got to, like, sit at the table and figure out the accommodations.
Certainly you didn't socialize to the point where you could stay with somebody.
No, I mean, that would be weird, right?
But people were drunk and in a good mood, Tim. You may have been able to pull it off. You could have made friends with somebody and then be like, hey, new pal, I hate to do this to you, but can me and my wife stay with you tonight?
Yeah, I don't think that's not really something I'm super interested in doing, especially when it was like we got a hotel room for like $70. That was like really nice, but it was also cool because like I had to compare on the app for a while. So like I'm just gonna go sit over there with a drink, and then we got to leave the the wedding early to go check in. So that was cool. So it worked out well for old Tim.
Tim, by any chance, this Airbnb that was dirty, did you go in there before your wife? And were you in there for a significant amount of time? Hold on. I just got to stop at the gardening store to get a big bag of dirt before we go to the Airbnb.
I love that you just constantly accuse me of running scams, like stealing watches or buying fake watches and giving them to friends, or like planning an elaborate dirt prank on an Airbnb to get out of an hour of a wedding.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you were having a miserable enough time that
I wasn't having a miserable time. This just helped me not feel uncomfortable or feel less uncomfortable at a place where I didn't know anybody.
Right. Well, isn't that what alcohol's for?
Yeah. We had rented a car.
Oh, okay.
So somebody had to drive it. I think I did drink and my wife drove, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't imagine that you were like...
Well, why can't one drink alcohol and look at Hotels Tonight app on their phone during the wedding?
You were just like sitting in a corner, pounding free drinks. And I was gonna say, I thought the whole appeal to Hotel Tonight was that like you didn't have to spend a lot of time perusing things.
Well, you didn't. You didn't. But like it was new enough at the time that like certain people didn't know that it was a lot more streamlined and easy. So was I looking at the Hotel Tonight app the whole time that people thought I was looking at the Hotel Tonight app at the wedding? Who can say? Nobody really knows.
I was reading about, speaking of scams.
Go on. I love
a new
a scam.
like owner scam now is putting in like ridiculous fees for like breaking certain rules.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
reading about this on there's this website that came up when I was like searching Airbnb stuff because they seem to do a lot of articles about Airbnb. And it's called In the Know, and it's from Yahoo.
Ooh.
But Tim, half the articles on this
The search engine?
the search engine, it must I mean, some of these articles were a couple of years old, so I guess maybe they weren't AI generated, but like I have to imagine now it's all AI generated because every article is literally just TikTokers are blank.
Very cool.
TikTokers are exposing the various scams that hosts on Airbnb are doing. So some of these fees included being charged $50 a minute for any time you're on the property post checkout, $50 per guest for wearing shoes in the house,
Very cool.
$100 fee if the host had to replace a cooking lid, and a $500 fee for door lock prohibited. So I guess like they weren't allowed to lock the door, and losing a knife, you were charged a $500 knife replacement fee.
First of all, how is this monitored? Like how
Well,
Like, do they have cameras on to see that you're not wearing shoes in the house? If so, like, I think that's more egregious than the fine.
Well, I was going to say that's the other problem is that, yeah, some people are putting hidden cameras in their Airbnbs. And Airbnb apparently does allow cameras in, I think, like, communal areas, but they have to be, like, labeled and disclosed.
Right.
Which, like, I've never seen.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to stay in a place where there's a fucking security camera. Like, even if it's just in the living room, still, I need videos of me picking my nose, watching TV, ending up on TikTok.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, if you want to videotape me, go for it. What am I doing? Like, if you want to videotape me in the bathroom, like, sure. What are you gonna do? Like, show people? Am I gonna be embarrassed that I went to the bathroom?
You heard it here, folks. Tim's okay if you make bathroom videos.
Well, like, what's gonna happen with that video? Like, you can't show it to anybody who would, like, anybody reasonable who wouldn't go like, why'd you videotape this guy in the bathroom? And if you want it for your own perverted purposes, like, all right, like, go nuts. I guess.
do think that sometimes about, like, you hear about, like, certain blackmail material people have or whatever, and it's like, well, that's, like, also incriminating of the person who has that. Like, if the person who has this puts it out there, it's going to be obvious it's that person that did it. And it's also like, why were you doing this? Like, why were you taking hidden camera footage of this person or whatever?
Yeah.
But
True.
I remember telling you one time about how I think you had asked me if I closed the bathroom, like when I lived alone, if I closed the bathroom door when I pooped. And I told you I did because there was a window, like, right there that people could see me otherwise. And you were like, who do you think is going to want to watch you pooping? And I was like, I don't think anyone wants to. I don't want them to see. Like, I don't want somebody looking at, oh, what a lovely night. Oh, there's a guy pooping.
Yeah, that's true. I don't remember that conversation. I'm not calling you a liar, though. But were you, like, especially if it's like a neighbor across the street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they're gonna, like, hey, every day I see this guy pooping, and then I see him out on the street, and, like, why does he subject me to this?
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, and you're like, well, because that's what Tommy likes to do. Tommy likes to subject people to that.
I mean, there's.
I'm in my house. You can't do anything about it.
I mean, there's a guy that I see like on the street all the time, and every time I see him, I go, there he is. The guy that likes to smoke a cigarette with his shirt off on his balcony.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some of the other fees here that people have seen, two places that had a 2 trash bag limit, and if you exceeded that, you were charged $2,000.
No, okay. So,
and if you broke a TV, you would be charged $5,000. And I don't think this is like as possible anymore, because I think there was like kind of a loophole where places could, rent to you, and then after it's rented, put in all these terms so you wouldn't even see that.
Right.
And I think if they like went into their, I would hope if they went into like their Airbnb dashboard and were like, well, all right, let me check this box to charge them an extra $5,000 because they broke a TV, that would trigger some kind of intervention there. But I think like the $100 fees, those could be lost in the shuffle sometimes.
So that goes through Airbnb, and they will charge your credit card and give that money to the host?
At some point, that was the case, I guess.
Because I feel like a lot of this stuff is like not enforceable, or like you can dispute it and be like, hey, Airbnb, they're saying I broke a knife and they're charging me $2,000. Like, I didn't touch a knife. This is obvious fraud.
Right.
And they would just be like, yeah, that sounds like why else would they have a $2,000 knife charge unless it was a scam?
Yeah, I mean, unless people just did this a ton, and 1 in 100 people wouldn't notice or wouldn't fight it.
Well, if somebody doesn't notice like a couple $1,000 additional fee,
yeah, they should be keeping a closer eye on
bullshit
things.
reason. Like, it's fine. Like, look, I'm not a victim blamer, but sometimes if you're that easily scammed, you deserve to be scammed.
I'm not a victim blamer. I just think some people deserve to be scammed because they're so stupid.
You tried to twist it into something that I'd be like, oh, that's not what I was saying, but that was exactly what I was saying.
Another thing that people are complaining about nowadays, which I've seen with you, is places having too many rules and just having signs all over the place explaining rules.
Right.
Like, we stayed at a place a couple of months ago.
Yeah, that place.
And there were signs everywhere about,
that was a fussy place.
Yeah, about like what you couldn't. I mean, these signs didn't have like threats of like, and if you do, I think one sign did have a like, how what the fee would be if you did something you weren't supposed to, because it would like break something. But everything else, it was just like, just sign, touch this, don't touch this. I guess there weren't any signs that said to touch anything.
Touch this, I dare you.
Touch this or else you get charged. And it was just something really gross. It was some slime that had been dropped in a bathroom. Our place had like some kind of warning about, like, I think it was like making noise inside after 10, which like didn't really make sense.
Yeah. Also, how enforceable is this? How enforceable is this stuff? Like, they made noise inside at 10:30 p.m. It's like, no, we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably just like they're trying not to piss off their neighbors, so they're put up. It doesn't really hurt to put up a million signs.
You know what's gotta suck about being Airbnb? It's like you're just like the parent where like I mean, I guess like a mediator or whatever, but like where like the host will be like, they did this and I told them they couldn't, and then the renter being like, no, I didn't do that. They said I did it, but I didn't do it. And
somebody
then,
else did it.
Yeah, they need to like figure it out. That seems like not an endeavor
Well,
I'd want to be a part of.
That's why they take their 14% plus 3% fee, Tim.
Yeah. That's what they're doing with all that money.
Yeah. I mean, I did see like also on Yahoo's In the Know, another TikToker trick, which is like you're taking a little bit of risk with it. But it's not a bad idea that like if you like the old days, if you like go to a place that you like, get that person's contact information and be like, hey, can we rent this next year? Like I'll pay in cash. And, you offer me a little discount.
Then give them fake bills that explode the dye packs all over them once you leave.
Yeah. Or it's just, 2 real bills wrapped around a bunch of pieces of white paper.
Yeah. Those fucking
No,
idiots.
but just like going around Airbnb, which like, yeah, it's fine. You can save money, but the problem there is that like if something happens, there's more liability for everyone.
Well, Tom, we've learned a very important lesson. We need Airbnb. Society needs Airbnb.
Yeah, and you were wrong to say it was bad.
Yeah. My conclusion, Airbnb is good.
If you like the show, you can find out more at tcgt.com. You can head there to get our social media links. You can find a link to our Patreon, patreon.com/complete guide, where we're reading Sapiens this month about a little group of people you might know as human beings.
Human doings?
I don't know what that means. Patreon.com/complete guide. You get all the new episodes, all the old books of podcast episodes. It's great.
You're going to love it. I guarantee it.
And you can follow me on social media, usually at Tom Reynolds.
Follow me at your pal Tim. Usually at Tom Reynolds?
Yeah, I think 1 or 2 things maybe I wasn't able to get it.
Tom Reynolds XXX69 420.
All the things that matter, you can find me. Tim, before we go, I wanted to say since you said so many nice things about Airbnb, I'd like to say something nice, which is I do like the Airbnb experiences.
Oh, yeah. I always thought that was just like a bullshit thing that they were like, all right, well, we got most of the property, and like, how do we keep like offering and like making more money on top of this? I guess they're a business. I shouldn't fault them for like making more money. But
they're actually like pretty nice because it's kind of similar to Airbnb, where people can kind of like run their own tours without like having like a lot of startup fees and stuff.
Right.
And did a couple of them in Mexico City, and they were great. It was like people that live there that will take you somewhere and show you around.
That's cool. Show you a good time. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, and like relatively inexpensive. You're being given a tour by the person who's like, getting the money and like, wants you to have a good experience, wants you to leave a good review. It's not just, some like random teenager that's working for, some tour group.
Goddamn teenagers. Tom, do you need to disclose that you're being paid to endorse the Airbnb experiences?
I'm not being paid to endorse Airbnb or anything else.
But you're being compensated in like Airbnb credits, Airbnb bucks.
I wish. No, I'm not being compensated in Airbnb bucks, Tim.
Tom,
how dare you? How dare you even insinuate that?
I just know you're always showing up in really cool Airbnb swag when we hang out in real life. Hats
and I have installed a plethora of hidden cameras in my home.
Just so you know, do whatever you want with those videos of me in your bathroom. I don't mind.
Oh, don't worry, Tim. I have. That's how I bought my new lake house. Just check out timpooping.xxx.
Gross. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it is. We'll see you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.